Alright guys, we are back and welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. And boy oh boy, have I been wanting to say that for the longest time ever. As drumroll please, I've not made a video in close to 1 month, and I know, it's bad. I'll let you guys know towards the end of the video what's been going on. But most importantly, how have you guys been? Let me know how your raid journey's been going, and are you going for the, the fusion for the for the Torment code, I guess, with the Titan event, with all of those events as well, and how that's been going. And also if you're excited for the release of the Christmas fusion, which we're going to be discussing today. Now, make sure you guys are doing your Dark Fae as well, by the way, if you can get there. You know, we want to get some of that lethal gear. But let's just bring up that champion. 3, 2, 1, can you guess the faction? And boom. He goes by the name of Blizaar The Howler. And it says here that it's going to be starting on Thursday, December 14th. They're planning to launch this fusion event, which leads me to believe it's going to be the 16 rares, into the 4 epics, and finally into the legendary champion. He's from the Ogryn Tribes, legendary of course, defense based from the Spirit Affinity. And it says that Blizaar The Howler is orientated around the hard mode of the Fire Knight, whilst also having some utility in the classic arena, or live arena should we say. I'm not going to read through everything they said, as I don't want it to sway my opinion in any of those senses. So we're going to break it down for ourselves, and you guys can let me know below your thoughts on him as well. But aesthetic-wise, looks pretty cool, right? You know, sticks with the theme of Christmas. We've got some abominable snowman from the Ogryns, and he looks badass. I like it. So alright. Frozen Caltrops attacks 3 times at random, and each has a 40% chance, bookable up to a 50% chance, of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. Now, when we start thinking about champions such as, is it Pixniel that has on A1, right? Or was that a Perfect Veil? We're going to have to go and look at some freeze options afterwards. But you know, Newt has pretty much a 100% chance, if he's not manipulating turn meter, to turn that into a freeze. Is this a bit of a low chance? I would say yes. I would like to lean towards that 75 to even 100% in my opinion. But there we go. A pretty good champion for the A1 to work as an allure in a sense for the hard mode of the Fire Knight. With the Chirotherapy, 5 turn bookable down to 3 turns. Removes any stun, sleep, fear, true fear, freeze, provokes, and petrification debuffs from all allies. Then we'll place a 60% increased defense on everybody, and also a 50% ally protection in the same skill. Now, taking the removing of debuffs out for a second, like just having a strong form of protection of increased defense and ally protection on a 3-turn cooldown could be very strong for the Demon Lord clan boss, right? These are 2 very good fundamentals for your traditional style teams out there. And if you're lacking one of those options, can definitely fulfill that role. I would say outside of that, not really bringing any extra utility for the clan boss, i.e. a poison or a decreased defense or just some other debuffs out there. But in terms of just pure protection and raw damage and tankiness, I'm assuming from being a defense-based champion, you can expect him to put in a pretty good job. But the removing of debuffs, you know, when we think about removing the stuns from the Demon Lord once again from that stun phase, or, you know, the sleeps from a Kaima, for instance, if you can resist it, or the true fears from like a Mashald, or the freeze debuffs from a Torment that many of you guys might be going for, right? Like, this is going to be a straight out counter to those champions and get you straight back into the race in the classic arena. So overall, pretty good synergy for the A2. Let's see how it kind of correlates with the rest of the skills here. With the Spike Blizzard, 5-turn bookable down to a 4-turn. I was going to say 3-turn there. Attacks all enemies, 100% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. And also has a chance of reducing turn meter in the same skill as well by 30%. So once again, really cool synergy, could work for a good opening phase in arena, you know, freeze your opponents, cycle your skills effectively, and reduce those turn meters to allow your slower champions to cut in and get their active skills out. So pretty cool, could also have some use in a bomb with the Dreadhorn, right, when you're freezing the Dread Bombs and reducing their damage, I believe down to 20% max HP. But then once again, you have to remember, the turn meter depletion on the Bommel is gonna make another Dread Bomb proc down, so you might want to focus on using that A1, but just remember it's a random hitter, so we can't guarantee where that freeze is going, right? But overall, you know, it's fully themed around the freeze debuff, the theme of Christmas, I guess, and has some good fundamentals if you want some crowd controlling, whilst also cleansing the crowd controls from your team. Like petrification from a Mithrala Livebane, for instance, right? Could have some versatile value. But one thing that I do see here from the passive is he's not immune to any debuffs, but with the passive effect, whenever an enemy tries to place a freeze debuff on this champion, will instantly transfer it from this champion to that enemy. So like a direct counter to those champions like Torment the Cold. So, you know, I'm guessing that it's going to be a phasing where it happens before the instance, before the accuracy and resistance check. But we'll have to playtest it if we get some access on the test server. So stay tuned for that. But, you know, if we didn't have this Torment Titan event, I can't remember the last time where I fully faced the Torment outside of Tag Team Arena. But you guys let me know if you're having a different experience in the lower difficulties of the Classic Arena. I'd love to know that, if freeze is a big problem for you. But it's full. I'm just thinking, where else are we really using this? Like, the freeze on the A3, great for finite hard, like they said. A1, pretty good. Low chances, I guess, but, you know, 50% chance on a 3-time hitter, you're more than likely to get at least 2 of those out, so definitely viable. Removing the debuffs and the ally protection and increased defense, you know, some strong forms of protection. I don't know if I'm feeling a little bit underwhelmed, guys, and I'm going to tell you why in a second, with some other options in the game that we can relate him to. But with the second part of the passive, whenever this champion is killed, we'll revive them with 30% HP and 30% turn meter, and then we'll place a revive on death buff on them for 1 turn. Now, I really wish that he had some form of AoE revive, right? Give him some Sun Devil utility, potentially, with like some revive on deaths or something. That could be pretty cool. You know, if he dies, he brings everybody back instead of just himself. Very similar to Marishka the Unbreakable. I know you're going to be like, you know, that's a Void Legendary champion, but, you know, just trying to think of some versatile value of this champion, because if you don't want to do hard mode Fire Knight and you don't need freeze in the arena and you've already got a clan boss team used, do we have some viability for this champion? Maybe, I always like to deep dive into these kits and think about places, even if I'm a bit underwhelmed. Maybe the Doom Tower, you know, freezing up those waves could be very powerful. Faction Wars, of course, is going to be MVP there in terms of tankiness and crowd controlling and stuff. So yeah, I definitely feel like he has value for progression. Endgame viability, we do have the Cursed City of Sintranos coming in the foreseeable future. So will he have some uses there? Only time will tell once we see the mechanics of the new content, right? But you guys let me know, overall thoughts, is this a champion you're going to be going for? Are you going to see what kind of epics are up for grabs as well to see if they have value for you? Or, you know, are you just going for the Torment and completely missing this one out? Like, for me personally, I'll probably go for it because I skipped the Torment one on purpose, as I just felt like, how am I really going to balance doing the Torment one and this one at the same time? So I chose to save my Sacred Shards and stuff for this champion in particular. I was really hoping for like a Nishak Vermin Lord Caliber or at least a Totua Rhymehide. I felt like he was very strong as well. But, you know, a freeze option, probably the best one I'll have on my account outside of the Newts A1, definitely has some viability. So, okay, let's just go into the game now. Have a quick look here. What's this? Mini mix pack. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. By the way, I'm going to be summoning my Ancient Shards. Not sure if it's a good idea, you know, now that we got the news for a fusion, but stay tuned for that video, guys. I probably will go for this because I do want to do a giveaway in that video. You guys know how we like to do those. Okay, champions. Let's talk about some ones that it can relate to. Maybe you might want to go for this fusion and save your resources if you feel like these champions already fulfill a role for you. So we got Shiramani. Chance on the A1 is not 50%, like the new champion. 25%, 3 times at random, very similar. So if you're not doing hard mode Fire Knight, still has some viability. She's got a bit of a continuous heal with some healing in there and an AoE freeze, which is basically the same as the new champion, although this champion fills her turn meter and the new one decreases turn meter. So really comes down to what you're valuing more here. I'd probably lean towards the fusion over the Shiramani, but a lot of similarities, right? And if we talk about some other ones, we had Pixneal. She's from the High Elves as well, right? There she is. She's got a 3-time. Oh, it's not even a 3-time. I always thought this was a 3-time hitter, like a Shiramani. Oh well. So I guess it's better than her for that. Increased defense, continuous heals, and attacks enemies under freeze and places a weaken. Pretty decent A2. And also, very similar to the A3 once again. If you're just looking for an AoE freeze champion to control spiderlings and control waves, you know, there is other options out there to fulfill the role without relying on the new one, right? And she's immune to freeze debuffs. I do really think that he should have had that, but in essence, if he's immediately sending those freeze back, he is kind of, in a sense, immune, right? Just in a different format and sending it back to the champions. But you'd have to build him with accuracy and resistance because you want to resist the debuffs to remove them from your allies, unless you go untouchable builds or, immunity gear could be an option. And also the accuracy, so it could be a very intensive build for players out there trying to maximize its potential. So yeah, that was some freeze options. For an epic to relay him to would be Creedon the Blue. That's Mistrider Dahi YST. Creedon Blue's got an A1. It's a 35%. It matched to a 50%. Not a crazy difference, right? Still very viable for an epic. We've also got a freeze on an AoE on a 2-time hitter at a 65% chance. And one of the hits are probably, like 99% of the time, you're going to freeze those waves. I use them all the time in secret rooms and faction wars. And then also, increased speed as well, and some turn meter fills, so he's fulfilling a lot of roles as a strong freeze champion with some relation to this new legendary. So I thought I would just throw that in there towards the end of the video, I guess, and, you know, if you can't go for the fusion, or you feel like you're missing out and getting that FOMO, just know that there is some other champions out there that can fulfill very similar roles, if that's what you're looking for. He just might does it to a better caliber in a sense, but not crazy amounts. But the ally protection and the increased defense definitely is very strong to fit into a kit that has good crowd control as well. Alright, before we end up this video as well, I feel like I should just let you guys know what's been up, and if I'm back, have I quit raid and all of that stuff? No guys, I've been there in the background. I did mention it on a stream that I jumped on around 2 weeks ago, very briefly, just, you know, for your guys' respect. I was very ill after Vegas. I've kind of said that beforehand, and it lasted a lot longer than I thought. And, you know, I was coming down with all kind of stuff. So I feel like my immune system is just a shambles. Let me move myself back. Yeah, but we're all good now, I guess. And also, my wife went in for a surgery and she's just come home and in recovery mode at the moment. So, you know, just trying to support her through that. And then I've got the 2 young children at home as well, and just trying to balance everything in real life as well. And thankfully, her surgery went very smoothly. You know, I was praying for that and it happened. So I'm a big overthinker. So very happy that it went smoothly. And then last but not least, just having a bit of a reflection as well was very helpful for me for my mentality, because I've been doing YouTube for 3 years, right? Videos all the time, you know, new fusions, new guides, and my channel is based on more of kind of in-depth guides, I like to say, and, you know, creativity and making new Doom Tower teams, Bommel teams, Dark Fate, you name it. That's kind of what I built my channel off. And, you know, the rate's been a bit in a still place at the moment, and how many times can I showcase the same variation of team in different formats? So I was just thinking, how can I make my content more better for you guys? You know, looking forward, the creativity value that I want to bring to the table. And, you know, I'm hoping that the new piece of content with the Courtesy of Sintranos brings that versatility back out and, you know, makes you want to think of cool compositions to tackle these areas of the game that you guys might be struggling with. So that's definitely something I'm going to be focusing on. Looking forward is the new piece of content. And of course, once again, I will be doing Doom Tower stuff and Clan Boss and the traditional things. I also want to start doing news videos. Like, I do shout out fusions and stuff, but my other news videos, like, you know, new summons that come out or new events, they seem to not get a lot of views on my channel, so I kind of shied away from them in the past. But I do feel like for the people that is interested in my opinion, although that people don't really come to me for news, I would love that to become a conversation, right? And you guys to come through and let me know your thoughts on things, and I feel like it will add a really cool element to the channel as well. So yeah. That was basically it, guys, without going into too much detail. I wish you guys an amazing rest of your day and, you know, good luck on your 2x events and all of that good stuff. And let me know your overall thoughts on the fusion. Catch you guys in a video soon. Peace.